I have is not what the IQ score is at first, but do you see why this would be a backwards problem? Top 5% on an IQ test.
Well, you're starting with the percent.
Boom! Say it again, Lydia, nice and loud.
You're starting with the percent instead of the numbers.
And that, my friends, is why I call it a backwards problem. I make up the terms forwards and backwards. Why did I make them up that way? I don't know. I don't know why I picked forwards to be forwards, but there's a reason that if forwards is forwards, then backwards is backwards. That sounds like Dr. Seuss, I apologize. In the forwards problems, you start with the IQ scores, convert them to z-scores, and then convert the z-scores to an area. Is that fair? So follow up the progression on that. For a forwards problem, this is again my language. For a forwards problem, you start with an X score, which is a raw score. You convert to a Z-score, and then you convert to an area, and that's your answer. Because all of those questions are going to ask, what percent have this? What percent have that? What's the probability of this? Those are all asking for an area, or for a decimal. A backwards problem is exactly backwards. They're going to give you an area or a percentage, and they're going to ask you what the raw score is that corresponds to it. So for example, which IQ score gets you in the top 5%? It's exactly backwards. You're starting, so backwards, you're starting with the area. So if we're going exactly backwards, we're going to go to next after area, Z-score. And then, finally, you get your raw score. And then that's your answer. That raw score is your answer. That raw score is your answer, once you have it. Is that fair? Maybe it's not fair yet. Is it believable? Maybe it's not believable yet. Maybe we should just do it. And then you see how long time plays with it. I like starting with a drawing anyway. I still like starting with a drawing. Because the drawing itself is also backwards, which is fun. Here we go.
So what happens if it gives you a range, though?
Say that again.
If it gives you a range, like between 80 and 90%?
It just says top. Oh, well.
So then you'd have to have...
Can we come back to that question in 7.5 minutes? It's a great question. And it's a little bit of a composite calculation. We can totally do it, though. So let's come back to it, if you don't mind.
After reading your policies and stuff, I thought you were supposed to break out dance.
I was about to say, you cue to dance. That was your
Well, it's my little substance. I can only do one thing at a time. And singing was something I could do. I was trying to erase and draw at the same time. You ever read the policies? So, what we want to know is the top 5%, yeah? So we're shading 5% up here. Say that again. No. It's top 5% for the IQ. Right, that's why I wanted to go with a different percentage than to just re-answer the last question backwards. Does that make sense, Eric? I love what you're saying. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make it a confidence interval and have a top and a bottom. There is an IQ score up here somewhere that is, which percentile? Which percentile is this? It's the 95th percentile, isn't it? It's higher than 95%. Below the top 5%. So at the 95th percentile to get into medicine. I've also heard 98th percentile for other tests, 99.5th percentile for other tests, and there's a fun problem that involves that I'll ask you guys maybe next week in a quiz. But 95th percentile. Okay, so you see how we're already going backwards? The very last thing we did in this problem was figure out this was 2.5 or 2.3, whatever it was. So that was the last thing we did here. That's the first thing we did here, yeah? Cool. Now let's keep going backwards. How did we get that 2.5 or 2.3%? What did we plug into our machines? Do you remember? Remember putting that in to normal? So we're going to have to go to the machines, yeah? We're going to go to the machines now to figure out the z-score. Because we have to get the z-score. All right. Let's grab the machines.